going on, Boosted fam? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I hope you've had a great week. I know I have, overall. And nothing better than capping the week off with a little moto vlog to talk to you guys. Maybe catch up a little bit. So today's vlog, I kind of wanted to talk about a topic from back in 2018. Why I actually almost quit riding for good. And I did quit riding for 2 years. 2 whole years. And those 2 years were probably the most miserable of my life because I literally worked 7 days a week. So, let's get into it. So for those of you that don't know, back in 2016, I actually bought my first street bike, a 2016 Harley-Davidson Sportster 48. That bike, that was actually one of my favorite, overall builds that I've done. It just wasn't the most user-friendly motorcycle. What's up, brother? So the 2016 Sportster 48, I kept that bike for a whopping 8 months and traded it in like most people do with their Sportsters. And yes, I now regret that. So after I had traded around on a few bikes between 2016 and 2017, just trying to find what I liked better, I ended up settling in on a 2006 Heritage Softail. The Heritage Softail was a great motorcycle and I loved it, and I never would have gotten rid of it had I not have been involved in a car accident in January of 2018. In January of 2018, one Sunday afternoon, my wife and I had decided, let's take our dog and go to Petco. So when we did, we made it a whopping 2 miles away from the house, and we're going through a green light that I had right of way on. And car ran the red light, T-boned us, and destroyed my, I think it was 6 months old at the time, Nissan Frontier. So that wreck actually opened my eyes up a little bit and scared me. We've all probably been there, whether we want to admit it or not. We've had something that scared us about motorcycle riding. And even though this didn't involve a motorcycle, it still made me think about, had me and my wife been on the bike at the time, you probably wouldn't have ever had a Boosted Bagger channel. Let's just say the least. I would have guaranteed we wouldn't have been here. So we got home after that wreck, and I immediately looked at my wife and I said, we would have died on the bike that day. We would have passed away on the motorcycles that day. So immediately after the wreck, I came home, we talked about it, me and the wife, and we decided we were going to put the bike up for sale. We decided that, it wasn't worth the risk after especially our car wreck where we had 7 airbags deployed. So, after about a month of being up for sale, my grandfather contacted me and asked me what I wanted for the motorcycle. I told him, and he took it. He said, all right, I'll have you check tomorrow for it. So I sold the Heritage, sold it to my grandfather. And he was very happy with that bike. He always rode Heritage Softails. Like, that was the main bike you ever seen him on. So he loved it. Well, he told me the day that I dropped it off to him, what's up, guy? That, hey, look, I had a motorcycle accident back when I was around your age, and I quit riding for a whole year, almost 2 years. And I said, well, Paul. That's what I called him, was Paul. I said, you know, maybe one day I'll get back into it. Just right now, it's not the right time with me and my wife to be riding. And he agreed that if you felt uncomfortable on the bike, you probably shouldn't be on it. So, fast forward to the end of 2020. COVID was a weird time for the business, and it started out, I was wide open that year, but towards the end of the year, there was a flooding of the excavation industry market, and there was hardly any work going on. So I found myself working literally just to make payments on the equipment and keep the business afloat, and barely breaking even every month. So in September of 2020, my grandfather was on a motorcycle ride with a bunch of his friends, and a deer ran out in front of him. The results of that crash was a fatality, being my grandfather, and he was riding the Heritage Softail that I sold him. I immediately told my wife, I said, hey, if that motorcycle comes back up for sale, I want to buy it and I want to rebuild it for him. I want to rebuild that motorcycle for my grandfather, because all I could think about was the speech that he had gave me about after 2 years of him not riding. He got back into motorcycles. Ironic timing, 2 years after I quit riding, this happens. And I got the opportunity to buy the bike back. I rebuilt the motorcycle and I rode it in his memorial ride that they held that following November after his wreck. I continued to ride that motorcycle as my main bike until 2022, and when I got this motorcycle, when I got this bagger, because this is my dream bike overall. But now the Heritage, it gets rode a little bit. I try not to put too many miles on it. I've been wanting to make a turbo Cholo build out of it someday, and I still plan on that. I just gotta wait till the money's right. But I do want to say the reason I got back into riding was there was always a love for it, even when I quit. And without motorcycles in my life, I stayed in a slight state of depression all the time. I don't talk about that with just anybody until now. And I figured this would be a good teaching point for a lot of you, because sometimes we go through things in life that might seem traumatic, but our reactions can be more traumatic long term than the initial accident could. This isn't for everybody also. I want to keep that clear. This is just my personal experience. And I'm wanting to share this with you guys, just, so like I said, maybe if one of you are going through that, you could look to this for some kind of encouragement. I don't know. But when my grandfather passed away, that was more of a shock, because he was 84 years old. However, this guy, he was still acting like a 60-year-old and had the health of a 60-year-old, quite frankly, when he passed away. know they got a roll cage in this little car. What is that, a Mazda? That's a Mazda Miata. Some of these Miata builds are pretty sick. So getting back into the story, guys, my grandfather was an avid motorcyclist and enthusiast. So was my own father, and a good portion of my family rode. So I definitely did not have the whole everybody in my family hated motorcycles story. My family's a bunch of avid riders. Well, be good, man.
Have fun.
Yeah, I gotta stop and get gas. My light's on.
I almost forgot to on the way up.
If I can make it home, I'm just gonna do that because I gotta replace that fuel pump. That'd be a lot easier. Hey, did you drop a glove?
Damn, I dropped my costume on the way too.
Y'all be good. See you later. So anyways, guys, yeah, that's why I actually quit riding for 2 years and almost never got back on bikes. I'm thankful I did. Forever thankful. Because motorcycles have done a lot for my life. They pulled me out of a bad slump. And same for a lot of my other friends. I've known several people that motorcycles actually just changed their lives forever for the better. And I know the whole normal saying about how people can get hurt on them. I understand that. But it can also save people. So as always, guys, if you like the video, leave a like. Also, be sure to follow and subscribe for any future uploads or activities. And yeah, hit that little bell notification down there. That way it reminds you when we do have future uploads. I try to post every Sunday at 7. And hopefully we start getting to post, you know, during the week on Thursdays. Assuming that weather keeps getting better and we get to keep riding more. So anyways, keep the main thing, and peace.